Today I will present my project, which is about the great book Pride and Prejudice by Jane Austen. First, we will talk about the great reader of this book. Jane Austen was born on December 16, 1775 in Steventon, Ham, Ham, Hampshire, England, the seventh child of the Reverend George Austen, the local Anglican parish priest, and his wife Cassandra was maiden name was late. Reverend Austen earned a supplement to the family income by tutoring pupils who resided in the Austen home. The family consists of 8 siblings. Jane, with Jane and her older sister Cassandra being the only females, Cassandra and Jane were confident. The letters they wrote the age other when they were separated. As we as those Jane sent to other relatives are preserved today. Three of Austen's siblings entered the army, which gives Jane extensive of, of regimental life, as she shows in works such as Pride and Prejudice. In the British Library, as also in London, you can find a notebook given to her by her father, illustrated by Cassandra, her sister, where Jane wrote her first stories. There are also manuscripts of the last chapters of Persuasion, although she did not use, use them later, and a small wooden desk. There are also 2 museums dedicated to Jane Austen. The Jane Austen Centre in Bath is a public museum located in a Georgian house in Gay Street, just a few meters before number 25, where Austen lived in 1805. Finally, the Jane Austen House Museum is located in the cottage in Chacton, Ham- Hampshire, where the writer lived from 1809 to 1700. This novel focuses on the life of the Bennet family, where the mother is desperate to find husbands for her 5 daughters before they pass their childbearing uh, age, and their father dies. If they do not do so, their holdings will pass to their cousin Mr. Collins, who can leave them with nothing if he wants to. He visits them to marry one of them to avoid in- inheritance problems, but was rejected by the second daughter Elizabeth. Mr. Collins ended up marrying her friend Charlotte, who accepted this proposal because she is a burden to her family. On the other hand, the Bennet family is very excited about the arrival of Mr. Bingley, whom they get to meet at the welcome party. Together with his sister and his best friend Mr. Darcy, who are staying in the Nate Boring mansion for the summer. Jane, the firstborn, and Mr. Bingley fall in love amidst insecurities fueled by Mr. Bingley's sisters and Mr. Darcy. The two cause him to break of their relationship and return to London. The situation left Jane devastated. On one of Elizabeth's walks, she meets Lie- Lieutenant Mr. Wickham, who turns her more against Mr. Darcy. On one of Elizabeth's walks, she meets Lie- Lieutenant Mr. Wickham, who turns her more against Mr. Darcy. When Darcy's father died, he left her a charge to fulfill his dream of joining her, but Darcy, out of jealousy, gave it to someone else. After a while, her friend Charlotte invites her to her new home, where he visits the estate of Lady Catherine, who happens to be the aunt of Mr. Darcy, to whose daughter Darcy is engaged. Darcy just happened to be on the spot and declared his love to Elizabeth, a proposal in which he unfortunately made reference to Elizabeth's for social status. She was already upset by, by, by the behavior towards Mr. Wickham and the match to her sister possible marriage rejects him. Darcy just happened to be on the spot and declared his love to Elizabeth, a proposal in which he unfortunately made reference to Elizabeth's for social status. Was already upset by, by, by the behavior towards Mr. Wickham and the match to her sister possible marriage rejects him. And looking for more whiz with Darcy's sister, but saying that he would not get what he wanted, he abandoned her. Elizabeth was distressed to learn that Lydia, the dear of her sister, had run away with Mr. Wickham and risked dishonoring her family. Mr. Darcy, in his help, goes to his sister's marriage and to repair his mistakes. Clarifies everything he said to Mr. Bingley, bring, bring him back to his feelings for Jane and Grit, hitting them both enga- engaged. This lets Elizabeth to see that Mr. Darcy is in fact a good man and she finally decides to accept the marriage proposal.